Turiya. Turiya, the root of Turiya means fourth. It literally means 1, 2, 3, fourth. So it's the fourth of these. Symbolically, the Turiya is the silence that is after the Om. Now I know that initially we're probably not going to experience Turiya with just doing this one time, but who knows, maybe it will happen like that. You never know. But the principle is, even if we just get a tiniest little glimpse of that, is as we internally, when we're doing the dhyana, when we're doing the meditation, we internally allow there to arise an Om. And the Om goes through all of those levels of consciousness and leads me to where it leads me to silence. And in that silence, we get some degree of glimpse. Maybe only a tiny glimpse or a big glimpse, but we get some degree of glimpse of what it's like to have awareness being standing alone. We can all have that experience relatively easily, where I'm relatively free from all the jabbering in my mind. There's nothing wrong with a good, intelligent, thinking mind. These are extremely useful instruments to deal out here in the world. In our world, we have many, many problems, and we need solutions. We all have personal problems in life. We need good, creative, critical thinking to solve these problems. But let's take a little break every day as well and do a little meditation. So when we internally remember the Om leads to silence. Now I'm saying leads to silence because I'm trying to communicate with you. But when I actually do that, I'm wanting to lead to the silence. And there, notice that the words suspend themselves. It's not forcing the words to go away, but the narrative of the mind just simply is not there. It's just the silence that is after the Om. It's in the right direction. It is in the direction of Turiya, the fourth state. Here's another way to hold it that may sound a little bit like philosophy. It's this thing here that we said this is the fourth state. And if you think, I mentioned before the idea of your cell phone or a computer, and we took a selfie and all that sort of process, and this is the microchip operating, and this is the hard drive, and here is the screen that's on your cell phone or your computer, and your speakers, and your microphone that's in your phone or computer. And so that's engaging with the conscious. There's something going on here, and there's something going on in the middle ground. But what is it that's allowing this entire cell phone or computer or you or me to operate? It is the electricity. And it's a metaphor, but it's a convenient modern metaphor. The ancient sages couldn't talk about this because they didn't have computers, they didn't have cell phones. So we update the metaphors, and we use modern metaphors like they used to use the other metaphors in the old days. But if you think of this electricity, and if the electricity is coming out of the plug in the wall, or I've charged my cell phone battery, the electricity is in the battery, but it's still the only reason the thing is working. We take a selfie, and then you and I look at it together, and there's a selfie of us together. The only reason any of that is working is because there's electricity stored in the battery. So this, Turiya, is a little bit equivalent as a metaphor to the electricity. It is the life force. You may know the word pranayama. Pranayama is usually considered breathing practices that happens out here. But the actual subtler, deeper meaning of the word prana to the yogis is this very first place where this electricity, this life force starts to emerge outward. This right here is called Adi Prana. Adi means first. The very first manifestation of prana, of life force, is when the electricity in the battery starts to come outward. It's called adi prana. And so this prana operates outward through all the levels of the unconscious and the conscious, and out through the physical body and the nervous system and the brain and all of this stuff like this. This is the nature of Turiya. Here's another old metaphor about Turiya. Imagine a little building that has 3 floors on the building, and it has a roof. You go into the first floor of the building and there's windows all the way around. You can go to a window, you can look out. You may have some nice views out the window, but if you climb the stairs and go up to the second floor, you can see a little bit more out of the windows. Climb up to the 3rd floor, you can see a little bit more. Climb up to the roof and you can look out all over the whole landscape. No obstructed views. You don't have to look out through a tiny little window. There it is. And this is the notion of, turn it this way, Vaishvanara, Tejasa, Prajna, and Turiya. The top floor of the building is the Turiya. The 4th floor, so to speak, or the ceiling that's, or rather the roof that's above the other 3. Just another little metaphor. Turiya. Turiya, the 4th state. This awareness of Turiya is the awareness of consciousness itself, or Atman, or Purusha. The word Purusha, if you know that word, sometimes used, it means Atman, the pure consciousness that is operating in the Pura, in the city of life. We operate out here in this city of this world out here. When we talk about waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, there's an interesting approach that the ancient yogis have told us about. It seems to us, to you and I, it seems to us that this reality out here, this is the reality, and now I'm going to lay down and I'm going to fall asleep. And then after a few hours, I'm going to wake up, and now I'm awake and I'm out here. The yogis, you can find this, you can read it. The yogis have said, no, actually, you foolish people, you've got it backwards. What we are doing out here is the asleep state. We have fallen asleep into this plane of reality called Vaishvanara. We have fallen asleep into our identities that I am a man or a woman, and I am of this country and this family, and I speak this language, and I have this career identity, and I am a son or a daughter of these people. I am a parent of those children. I am a spouse of this person, and on and on and on. It's a beauty of what we are that we can take on identities, but we hold them as if they are real. I put on a shirt and I think that this is who I am. All of our identities are like putting on shirts. And then we forget that it's only a shirt. It's a role that we are playing out here. And so we are trying to wake up. Think about this. You've heard it many, many times. People talk about spiritual life as being one of spiritual awakening. Think about it. Think about it. Use your intelligence. If what I'm seeking is spiritual awakening, it means by definition I am acknowledging that I have fallen asleep. I don't say I want to wake up unless I have fallen asleep. So this plane out here called Vaishvanara, we call it convenience because we're talking about the way that we experience the world. We experience the world that this is the waking state, and this is called the dreaming, and this is called deep sleep, and then there's this mysterious other thing that's called enlightenment or something like that. We've got it backwards. We're not bad people, we're not dumb, we're not stupid, we're very intelligent. But somehow we overlook this, or nobody ever explained it to us in this way. If we say, I want spiritual awakening, it means I'm acknowledging that I have fallen asleep into this world out here. There's nothing wrong with, there's many problems in this world out here, but there's nothing wrong. It's not a mistake that there's something wrong that we are here in this world, in these bodies, in these cultures, with these other people. It's not that we slipped on a banana peel and made a boo-boo and here I am. But I have fallen asleep in this. How do we do it? We do it with attractions and aversions. I look at that apple, I think it's my apple, and now it's now in my latent unconscious, it's my apple, it's my identity. I am a man, I am of this country, I am a Swami, I am a this and a that and the other, and we take on these identities, and there's nothing wrong with it, but we ought to hold it more loosely. And this exploration with the Om mantra will allow us to see how we have done this, how we have manifested out here in a way that we have fallen asleep into these identities. It maps out for us the path or the way or a way to awakening to the true self, which is where it's right here. It's this little dot. There are many symbols that you see around, that's a whole other subject, that use the dot as a symbol of unity, of the center of consciousness. That's what we have here. This is just another version of this. Watch this. If I take this little card here that I've been showing you and I turn it, I rotate it like this, does it look familiar? It's the same thing, isn't it? It's just rotated and put on a little card with different graphics and stuff like that. That this is something that is a modern sort of thing. We're accustomed to seeing things like this, little graphic diagrams of stuff. But this has a dot at the top, and this has a little circle at the top with a question mark in it. I put a question mark in the middle of this little circle just as a symbol reminder to say, it doesn't matter what you call it. In yogic language, in terms of what we're talking about here, levels of Om, it is called Turiya. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep, Turiya. Vaishnavar, Tejasa, Prajna, Turiya. It is also known as capital S self, using English vernacular. It is known as Atman or Purusha. Okay? You can come up with different words. You can call it God if you want. You can call it divine. I'm not trying to give you the correct word for it, but the principle is there, that there's these levels of consciousness, and there's a center that is, Vaishnavar, Tejasa, Prajna, Turiya. Or again, the most portable of all of it, Vaishnavar, Tejasa, Prajna, Turiya, and a few transition phases in the middle. Okay? There we go. There's the whole thing. It's as simple as your hand. It's portable. You can take it with you wherever you go. You can take your Om in a visual form in the form of your hand. All you have to do is just remember. I don't know what you do with the thumb. You can turn it around, do it the other way if you want. If you want, tuck the pinky finger in or like this. I do it like this, Vaishnavar, Tejasa, Prajna, Turiya, and a few little transitions. Okay? Please play with this. Keep it light. Enjoy. Enjoy this stuff. Enjoy your own laboratory that is called you. You really are the laboratory. You are made in the same way that is the whole universe is made. We don't have to explore everything out there. We don't find it in the temple out there. Nothing wrong with going to temples or churches or places, like nothing wrong with going to ashrams, nothing wrong with going on retreats, nothing wrong with hanging out with other people. Good, enjoyable thing to do. But ultimately, the real laboratory is you, because right in the center of you is this. And that's what it's all about, okay? Turiya.